Today we are making adobo, and we actually have already made adobo. It's sitting right here in front of me because what I like to do is make overnight adobo. And this is a foolproof method and super easy. You're really just assembling, simmering, and letting time do its job. And if you're not familiar with adobo, it is a signature dish in Filipino cooking. It's shoyu, it's vinegar, it's that punch of flavor, and it's a great combination. So we'll now cut to what I started doing yesterday, which is searing the chicken and assembling the adobo. Ooh, all right. I'm gonna start off with 3 pieces in here. We have 6 total. I don't even know if you can hear me over how loud the crackling is right now. Searing it off right now just to get some flavor onto the skin. Yeah, so growing up in Hawaii, I was surrounded by Filipino food and Filipino culture, and even though my dad's full Japanese, our workers on our family farm were all from the Philippines, so our potlucks and family gatherings had just the amazing spreads of chicken adobo, pork adobo, and it started my love for Filipino food. Oh yes, that's exactly what we want. A nice sear on the skin side. Ooh, a little brown on that one, but that's all right. And we're not fully cooking the chicken here, so I'm gonna take it out already, because we just basically did our job already. We started rendering some fat in the pan. We got the skin side nice and brown. So when I started out making this dish, I would marinate the chicken as you normally would for a meat that you're braising, but I found you couldn't sear the meat as well because you're introducing so much liquid into the meat. And so this method kind of gives you the best of both worlds of being able to sear the chicken and render all that chicken fat, while still essentially marinating it overnight after cooking in all of the fat and all the juices. And the next day, it just tastes out of this world good. All right, so our chicken is seared, and this is what is now in our pan. You can see, look at all that fat, and now all that's gonna be flavor for our chicken adobo. Look how good those look. Ooh, boy. Let's talk more about this chicken adobo. And the key ingredient, really, for chicken adobo is the vinegar, in my opinion. Today we're using Bragg's unfiltered apple cider vinegar, raw, unfiltered. And this is the one I've been using the most recently, but there are so many different vinegars you can use. If you go into like the vinegar aisle of an Asian market, they'll have a whole set of different vinegars, and really all of them are gonna be good to use, and they're all gonna create a different flavor for the adobo, because really the vinegar is what informs the adobo. So this is really the key ingredient for chicken adobo. I do feel like vinegar is like super underrated, like that really vinegary, acidic kind of flavor. It's something you don't get in a lot of American cooking other than maybe like American barbecue when it comes to like a mustardy kind of barbecue sauce. And now that we have basically everything prepped, the chicken was kind of our last prep stage. We have our rendered fat. Let's start assembling the chicken adobo. I'm gonna start by putting a rough chopped onion in here, and this is totally optional. We're gonna get that sizzling again. The juices and the fats are just too good not to put an onion in here. Next up is our garlic, and this might be a little controversial, but I don't peel the garlic before putting in the pan. That might sound crazy, but essentially what this does, and how we're cooking it today over the course of a couple of days, because the garlic's still in the husks, they will essentially melt and almost create like a garlic butter. The chefy word for this is called confit, I believe. So that goes straight in here. Again, did not peel it at all, so it makes the process of prep a lot easier. We are then gonna go in with our chicken, and what I'm doing is I use the onion as almost like a bed for the chicken here, and I'm just kind of creating one even layer. And now that the chicken is in, it's time to put in our braising liquid. So first up is our apple cider vinegar. Essentially, we're going for a 2-to-1 ratio here for our liquid. So 2 cups of vinegar for every 1 cup of soy sauce. I'm also gonna add about a cup of water just to make sure that our chicken is fully covered. This will spend a lot of time in here in the Dutch oven, so the water will eventually dissolve. It's not gonna really water down our braising liquid at all. We're gonna add a couple last touches, which is 1 black pepper, 20 or 30 cranks of black pepper. So quite a bit of black pepper. If we're using black peppercorn, we probably put like a whole teaspoon. Final touch, gotta have bay leaves. I just use dried bay leaves, 5 or 6 of these bigger ones in here. And once it's boiling, all we have to do now is put the lid on, bring this down to a simmer. So after the adobo simmers for an hour and chills in the fridge overnight, we are now here the next day, ready to finish it off. And before we start simmering again, you can see that fat has risen to the top. The whole mixture is essentially one big gelatinous block with our chicken kind of resting in there. All the juices have been concentrated, all the flavors have gotten to know each other, because you gotta admit, there are certain things that just taste better the next day, and this is basically a method that proves that. Now lid goes on, we turn on the heat and let it do its thing. Once you realize that time is essentially irreplaceable when it comes to cooking, you can't replace it with any ingredient, you can't replace it with any skill. You just kind of let it do its thing and you let time do the rest, and you're gonna have an amazing dish on the other end. So while the adobo was reheating, I went ahead and made some rice. I even used the tried and true Filipino method to make rice and used my fingernail to measure the water. Shout out to all my Filipino followers out there, you know what I'm talking about. And here we have the result. I actually went ahead and pulled apart all the chicken because this thing just pulls apart so easily. That's how you know you're about to get something so good. Literally the bone just like fell off of it. Let's have our first bite here. Oh my God. This is so good. Every time I make this dish, I'm almost kind of blown away by how good it is and how simple it is to make. There's no chefy techniques here. Nothing's labor intensive. It was really just assembling things into a pot and then waiting for it to be done essentially. Hold up, I gotta try some of these onions now. Low-key kind of my favorite part. These onions are unreal. Oh my God. They're just soaked up in that chicken fat and the braising liquid. It is like the perfect thing to add to this adobo and to accompany the chicken adobo. I even spoon a little extra braising liquid on the rice, which flavors the rice and makes almost the rice its own little side meal. Chicken is a great way to start out making an adobo. You'll get familiar with the flavor of shoyu vinegar. You'll get familiar with the flavors of the bay leaf and the pepper and everything kind of working in harmony to make this signature Filipino dish that is one of the best dishes in the world in my opinion. All right, let's do one more bite of some chicken and some rice and some onion. It's just a slam dunk. As we would say in Hawaii, this is broke the mouth good. My mouth is broken. And if you've never tried adobo, then what are you doing? Get on this. And hey, if you end up making it yourself, make sure to tag me on Instagram @MattyTries. Thank you so much for your time and supporting this channel and watching this video. I'm gonna go finish my overnight adobo, and you should too. See you next time.